Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, July 21st, 2017. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. Attorney for the Police Welfare Association, Israel Bruce, believes that the solidarity shown by local and regional bodies to the 3 officers who have been recently transferred to an outward district is an indication that the officers have done nothing wrong.
I don't see why there should be any charges, and if they proceed to charge, we'll let the chips fall where they may. I am asking, is it that they're dumb and silly why they're supporting the welfare? And the answer to that is no. Is that they all recognize that nothing illegal has happened. They're giving their support because they recognize that the executive members of the Police Welfare Association in St. Vincent have expressed some opinions. Again, we are spending a lot of time in this country not addressing fundamental issues, but allowing for matters of the most trivial nature to occupy us so much.
Bruce explained that it is believed the word storm has been taken out of context, as no real harm was intended by the police officers who were merely discussing their dissatisfaction with their working conditions.
We could always say, look, the word storm, though it is a strong word, is taken out of context, but did not intend, that still remains. Intend in no way to threaten anybody, not intended to suggest that hurt was going to be passed on to anybody. The word storm is taken out of context in this application, and we should just let it rest. What should happen is that the leadership of the police service in St. Vincent and Grenadines should say, look, let's sit down, let's meet with the executive of the Police Welfare Association, gentlemen. They felt that, you know, the way you express it may not have been the best expression, but we understand that you had no harm intended, and nothing illegal, nothing out of the way intended. Let's talk about how we could resolve these problems that you have.
The lawyer for the officers said that the real storm was being created by the hierarchy of the police force, who have caused discords among the officers and families.
They create a storm in the organization. Haven't the decision of the police hierarchy created a storm in the Police Welfare Association? Yes, it has created a storm. Because there's a lot of indifference now, there's a lot of conversation going on, a lot of people hearing different opinions. So there's a storm in the association. The decision of the hierarchy has created storms in the respective families, because one husband must now go to union and wife to some other place. I mean, in the normal it could have happened, but it is not the practice. The practice is to try to keep families as best as they can close together. And when you see these kind of punitive measures, then aren't you creating a different type of storm? When you send a policeman out of punishment from his working area to another working area, aren't you likely to create a storm in the community that you sent him to work? If we want to talk about storm, let's talk about storm.
The 3 officers from the Police Welfare Association, including its president Brenton Smith, were transferred on Monday, July 17th, after a leaked WhatsApp voice note called for members of the executive of the association to storm the office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Alf Gonsalves, to have their working conditions addressed. Meanwhile, the Royal St. Lucia Police Welfare Association, the RSLPWA, has expressed solidarity with the SVG Police Welfare Association in relation to a matter which resulted in 3 executive members of the association being transferred. The RSLPWA said it respects the authority of the hierarchy of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. However, it condemns the action taken, which appears to be an abuse of authority and lack of appreciation to the agenda of police welfare. The RSLPWA extends unwavering support and strength to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Welfare Association and urges the association to stand steadfast in their commitment to providing professional service to its members. And Commissioner of Police Ronald Hadaway said that they have already sought legal advice as it pertains to disciplinary action that should or should not be taken against the officers who were heard on the voice note.
The process in respect to internal disciplinary matters have commenced. However, as I have indicated, I have written on the matter seeking legal guidance. So whatever the decision is, we would await the response from that standpoint and then proceed accordingly. So I cannot say yes at this moment from the standpoint of criminal charges, and I cannot say no. I will have to await the direction and advice from a legal standpoint.
Commissioner Hadaway further pointed out that it is within the rights of those showing solidarity with the 3 officers of the Police Welfare Association, but the issue must be looked at objectively.
They are at liberty to show solidarity. I believe that they are not looking at the issue objectively, and it appears as if they are looking at the issue from a narrow standpoint where they are talking about the whole issue of looking at the welfare in respect to stove and fridges and these sort of things and so on. But from my vantage point, this is not about these things.
And commenting on radio yesterday on the issue surrounding the Police Welfare Association and their need for better working conditions and protection for members, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says there is no person in the police force who is dispassionate that enormous progress has not been made over the 16 years since his government assumed office. According to the Prime Minister, progress has been made in the infrastructure where work was undertaken at most, if not all, police stations on the island. He said there have also been adjustments to the salaries of police officers.
No. When it comes to the issue of salaries, in 2007, with the reclassification, the salary of a constable was increased by one stroke by about 70%. And there were adjustments throughout the entire salary scale. When you entered the police force in 2001, you got a salary just about the level of a junior clerk. You enter now at the level of senior clerk. I'm giving approximate classifications.
Yes.
And links. It takes you about 10 years to move from junior clerk to senior clerk in the public service.
As to the issue of complaints and how they should be logged, the Prime Minister said there are protocols to be followed.
When you have things about the commissioner tell you within a month, he will tell you about something, and the month pass. Well, that doesn't call for any set of fussing and fighting. It just tell the commissioner, well, the month passed. Let's get this thing going now. You know, do you have an answer for us on this, that, or the other?
On the matter of aviation and the allegations of luggage theft at the Argyle International Airport, the Prime Minister said what needs to be inquired is whether the allegations are true in relation to the various stages of luggage handling from the point of screening to when they get on the plane.
We must not assume, however, that Vincentian workers steal more than workers from any other part of the world, because it means we'll be blighting our people, we damning them without all the evidence. You notice how rational and careful I'm presenting this thing to you.
Yes.
If there's a problem, we have to solve it, and where the security is, we have to make sure that it is done properly.
The SVG Christian Council is calling for reconciliation in order to address the political division which it says continues to affect the nation. The council made this statement in a release today after the body met with Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and Douglas De Freitas of Nice Radio in light of the legal matter between the two individuals. In the release, the Christian Council called on Nice Radio and other media entities to be responsible with regard to their programming, credibility of information, and discretion in expression, and urges management of these entities to implement systems and structures to ensure a high standard in relation to morals and ethics. It also called on the Prime Minister and other leaders to be tolerant, respectful, and to engage in fraternal dialogue as a means of finding amicable solutions to conflicts and the general well-being of the nation. The release stated that the SVG Christian Council will continue to make itself available to assist in this process. The role of a scientific observer is an important one, as he is tasked with the responsibility of recording crucial data necessary for the proper functioning of the fisheries sector. That's according to Victor Njikongo, the observer program instructor, as he spoke in relation to a 2-week training course being conducted here for persons being trained as observers who would accompany fishing vessels on the high seas to collect data. The training course is being coordinated by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, along with the Capricorn Marine Environmental Limited. Njikongo said observers must be properly trained in order to carry out their functions, and highlighted some of the roles of an observer.
Yes, the observers will go into the high seas, collect data in accordance to ICAT, which is International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tunas, and they will collect that data in accordance to what the ICAT is looking for, so that data can go as for compliance purposes for the country. That includes measuring the length of the fish, taking some determining sex of the fish, and doing all the biologicals as per the requirements for the ICAT, as well as reporting on the gear that the vessel have, and be able to identify all the gear and make sure that they collect the data as per accordance to the ICAT.
The program instructor added that along with training in data collection, the participants will learn important safety measures.
Oh yes, you have to look at the catches, and as well, you understand that there are regulations in terms of what kind of fish you can catch, what your license allows you to do, and the observer checks on that and reports on that, so that there is more fishing, sustainable fisheries for each countries and for entire world.
For safety gear as well.
Oh yes, look for safety gear on the vessels, and it's very important that we train the observers onto safety, because we want them to be aware before joining the vessel that where are all the safety equipments around the boat and how to survive in case of emergency, and again not to go with a vessel that is not seaworthy, because at the end of the day it's all their lives that's going to be in danger.
The instructor also highlighted the dangers which could arise if an observer recorded incorrect data.
Oh yes, if you don't do your job properly as an observer, you take anybody else to go and see it, they may collect the data that is inaccurate. In other words, they might say that there's overfishing where there's no overfishing, or they can say there's less fishing where there's more fishing out there. They may record catching of species that are not supposed to be landed because of not understanding the species identification, and then it can cause a lot of problems between the crew and observers, because we teach them from how to behave at sea, how to conduct themselves professionally, and how to manage themselves in a vicinity where they are not employed. First of all, they are independent, and they are not working under the supervision of the captain or anybody, so they're unsupervised. It's very, very difficult for the guy just to wake up tomorrow and goes out at sea and say he's going to work as an observer.
Njikongo, however, expressed optimism in the training program being undertaken here, and says the participants have so far showed a lot of potential.
Oh, the guys have been responding very well. I think the education system in the country is very good compared to other countries that we've been going to, and the guys understand very well, and they got a very good background. And some of the stuff is more that you will get into your classroom trainings, primary school, high school, and then they've been responding very well. I think the selective criteria that was followed to select these guys, it was very, very rigorous, and I think they well capable of doing this, and after this they'll be more capable to be an observers.
He added that along with the practical training, the participants are also receiving experience in the field to ensure they're fully capable of carrying out the duties of an observer.
Yes, I can say that we've been very fortunate to be training in a venue that's very close to the harbor, because from time to time we'll come to the harbor and do some practicals on a boat, and we got a fish market down there. We can always do and cut the fish and dissect the fish, do practicals on the fish, which is very, very important, because you can send somebody to university for 10, 15 years. If he comes out, he don't know the practical part of it. That's why it's always important to get some experience. With 1 or 2 days measuring the fish, it will add a lot to the guys that's on top of what they've learned in a class.
He continued that those wishing to carry out the role of an observer must do so with a love for preserving the marine resources rather than for the love of money.
It must be something that you love. It should not be something that you're doing for love of money, because end of the day, it's a protection of the species out there. It's a protection of the fisheries. It's a protection of your fishing quota that you've been allocated to. So for you to go there with love, it supersedes everything, because once you feel that you're not being paid enough, you'll be dismotivated, and you must be motivated without money being involved. The other thing that somebody needs to understand is that when you are alone on a boat, there are more chances of you getting bribes, more chances of you getting asked to report something that is in favor of the vessel, and those are things that you need to watch out as an observer not to be able to fall into, because if you are there money driven, it means that you will be taking any money to do anything that you can. But if you are self-motivated to do this job, it's more likely that you will record and report according to what your deploying instructor will be giving you.
Some of the participants expressed gratitude for the opportunity to take part in such a training program and spoke on what they have learned so far.
Well, so far, the training has been going excellent. We have good coordinators. They've been helping us along, enlightening us about what we're going to do, the task at hand, and we're thankful for that so far. So we give them thumbs up. It hasn't been so long, it's just been 4 days so far, because it's a 2 weeks program that we're doing. So we're now getting into the nitty-gritty.
Basically, we learned a lot of the instrument used by the captain and other seamen. This is the GPS system used to find location of us or other ships, nearby boats. This is the compass used to show direction. Also, we have an eco sounder here used to show objects under the sea. We have a radio for signaling nearby ships or in case of emergency. And these are just some of the instruments that are used by the seamen.
As we see here, we have two hooks. These are I call the circular hooks. But there are two types of hooks. There are the circular hooks and the J hook. This is a circular hook, which is attached to the branch line, which is then connected to the main line in the back there. Well, importance of this, well, basically this, right, attached behind here is a chemical light which attracts swordfish, and this part, you know, this is the clipper which clips onto the main line. So basically this holds the branch line and the hook, so you could catch the fish.